My face.
Which one?
The front one. So reaching. Can you put that one straight up and down? All right, kids, welcome. Karma on deck. So I have Tico with me today, and we're going to open the platform to talk. But I'm going to let him announce the subject, so we're going to see.
So today, we are just going to kind of have an open forum here, chat a little bit, see what questions everyone had. I did get approached by someone who asked the question if there's a difference between love and sex. I'm just jumping straight into my one conversation. So yes, there is a difference psychologically between the two. You can love someone, you can have sex with them, and you cannot be in love with someone and still have sex with them.
You cannot?
I can't be in love with someone and still have sex. So there is, I've been doing
disagree. You can be in love with someone and have just sex? Is that what you just said? Or you can't not be in love with, wait, say it again.
You cannot love somebody and still have sex with them. You can love someone and still have sex with them.
So you cannot love someone and still have sex with them? Please explain that.
You can definitely not be in love with someone and have sex with them.
Okay, but that's not what you said. I thought you said you can't love someone and just have sex, and something about love or sex. I don't know. I think you can just have sex with someone you love.
You definitely can just have sex with someone you love. It doesn't necessarily always need to be intimate, but yeah, you can definitely have sex with.
So that's our subject matter, is the dynamics of sex, or are we going to talk about anything?
No, we can talk about absolutely anything. This is just one of the first questions that.
Thank you, Brittany. I'm confused too. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Tico and I both have a similar mindset when it comes to talking about these subjects. So we decided that based on a most recent post, that we would get together and have this conversation.
Definitely.
And allow you guys to jump in here, because this has been done before on my platform for sure. Those of you guys have been around and watched that, and we want to break out. So those of you that are out there, I want to hear all the questions that you would have if you were asked. Or honestly, what I'd like to say is I kind of feel like there are some subjects that are not talked about.
There are definitely a lot of subjects as far as sex that are not talked about. Let's see. The very first subject that comes to my mind is men that suffer from erectile dysfunction. So a lot of this does have a biopsychosocial factor that needs to be taken into consideration with this. A lot of men that have ED feel like it's untreatable, and I beg to differ. It's definitely something that is treatable.
So you're talking about ED. That's the first thing that comes up for you. That's you're saying is the one thing that you're hearing from men that's a problem?
Yeah, ED. The ability not necessarily to achieve an erection, but it's the other aspect of ED that allows people to have trouble sustaining the erection. So I actually just recently dropped a new guide. Carla looked at it.
I did.
Yep.
Hi, Jason.
Pretty good stuff. Really, really good content. However, we do touch on that quite intensely in the psychology section. So one of the things that
So what is this?
What is...
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Oh, right.
Article? Or are you talking about...
No, it's actually the program that I wrote.
Okay, so background, goal, and this program.
Okay, so this program is designed to help the performance of your man. So
that works for me.
Yeah, it does work for you.
Thank God. I don't have any problems with performance from my man, but
so for men that suffer from erectile dysfunction, have confidence issues, maybe have a little bit of insecurities approaching women, sustaining relationships, communication, why we do the things we do. It's all generally covered in this guide, which is basically a one-stop shop for the changes you need in your life.
So is this for men or women or both?
This is for men primarily.
So the fruits are for me.
The fruits are for the women.
So how would I pitch this to my man? What if I were like, bro, you need help?
Just be like, babe, take a look at this for me.
Oh, okay.
Just do me a favor and take a peek at it.
So I was having my girlfriend and I were having a conversation with a friend the other day. And what was it she asked him? Oh, he was saying, he said, are you telling the men in your life whether they're doing well or not? Do women tell you whether you're performing or not performing? Does that happen? Hi, Chris.
I think, me personally,
do women tell men when men aren't performing? So second,
yes, they do. They do. And they will tell you when. Girls,
are you telling your guys they suck? 1 pump jump, 2 pump jump?
You may not necessarily be telling him directly, but we go over.
What, I'm going to pout?
I definitely go over some nonverbal cues.
Fuck you. How about that?
We definitely go over a lot of nonverbal cues that women and people in general display to let you know that they're dissatisfied. So there's
a section on that for if we're fucking up with not like communicating?
Yes, there actually is.
So there's a whole NLP section apparently on body language.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so your background is in psychology?
So my background is actually pre-med with a minor in sociology. I spent probably about 4 or 5 years in mental health, so I've seen everything from your schizophrenias to your obsessive compulsive down to your sexual dysfunctions, including hypersexual activity, hyposexual activity, pelvic pain disorder for women.
So you studied this?
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do more with it then? I mean, at what point did you say, I'm going to make this fucking program because y'all are sucking? Or is he fucking it up for you or men in general? Like, where did this come from?
It's really more of a confidence thing. So recently there's
You had a lack of confidence. You decided what worked for you. Oh, I see. I can see that. Tico had a lack of confidence, so he decided how to would work because this is what he learned.
I just took notes the whole time. Hold on. Stop what you're doing for a second. I need to take some notes. We'll just come back to this in about 10 seconds.
I wrote that down. Tico took notes.
Really, it's one of those things where with the movement of mental health, men need to start speaking. There's a lot of things that I can personally say for myself where everyone does have these moments of mental health where they need someone to talk to. And it's kind of a movement that needs to get started. It's already kind of sorted out there, the campaign for men's mental health. And it's something that I feel like that can be utilized. More importantly, you touch on a topic such as sex and male performance, and you're going to get the attention of a lot of men, naturally, because that's one of our primitive instincts.
Well, so how this all came about, guys, was we had a conversation the other day, a little back and forth on Facebook. And so what we ended up playing with, so Vanessa Reiki, she does brainwaves and brain mapping. Okay. And she's a specialist in Reiki. She's actually my Reiki master who taught me mine. Thank you, my love. And Brittany was saying I never really had to tell them or him anything. So we had this conversation back and forth, and an individual or multiple individuals, there were 2 camps. There was no middle ground. There was the people that didn't say anything were the middle ground, but basically what had happened was, how dare you talk about this? And I don't give a shit. Like, there was no middle ground to that conversation. And so we had said throughout the post, like, so why is this so difficult? And I think the comment came about, or one came about, where it was like, how dare you talk to your children about this? And I said, do I want my kids to Google it? Do I want my kids to look for you or them or school? Because what's honest is we're not talking about this enough and in the right ways. The last segment that we did when Travis and I did Heart and Steele, we were talking about sex, but the whole idea was to talk about safety, psychology, communication, sexual health. And I think I've recommended to almost anybody that'll sit still to read Ethical Slut. And it talks about ethical non-monogamy, which is what everyone is doing, whether they're engaging with someone sexually or not, if they're in the dating arena. But they're just talking about who, what, where, what you're doing, and etc. But it's not being talked about.
Correct.
So we decided we would do that with you guys. And we welcome you to throw any question out there. You guys know me. I don't know if you play with him that way, but you can talk to me. And I think he'll answer if you have any questions. So if you have any questions, post them on here. So for those of you that don't know me that are on Tico's camp, Are we going to go camps, male versus female?
Sure.
All right, no. But anyways, please throw your questions out there. If you want to ask a male-related question and you're a girl that has a one, or if you want to ask a guy-related one to the girl, do that. But I'm Karma. I'm a psychic. I was a paramedic for 20 years. I was also a midwife back in the day. I'm a life coach, NLP practitioner, obviously Reiki, because I talked to Miss Vanessa a second ago. But that's me. So my background, honestly, is women's mental health, women's coaching, and women's issues that stem back from like one of the conversations we talked about, religion and psychology, sociology, and sexual behavior. But one of my goals is to break the stigmas and the habits and programming for young women.
Which there are a lot of.
So this kind of goes hands in hand.
So it's interesting when you hear about a lot of these stigmas. You'd be surprised how much men and women think alike when it comes to the activity of sex itself, however, not leading up to it.
So you're talking about the functional part. So you're saying that once we finally get in bed together, we agree?
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
wow.
definitely some chemistry when it gets to
Can
that
we just
point.
get to bed?
It's where the sparks really start to fly, is where there is a lot of connectivity between.
So we should shut up and fuck. I say that to women. If I had, no, I'm not wild, I'm real. Shut the fuck up. So here's what's true. You made me lose my train of thought.
This is what's true. Some men do think like women, and some women do think like men.
Do I think like a man or a woman or both?
Both.
Okay. Just curious, since I have this opportunity to ask you that question. So I was going to say, here's what's true is the body confidence and the attitude that my daughters have that took me 49 years to get to is absolutely astounding. And I want to see more of that. And I don't take credit for it, but I definitely am proud that my girls are able to achieve that level of conversation because they don't mind they don't care. I'm cooking dinner. They're like, oh my God, so this happened. Or I have a question, or there's this thing. And it's not taboo. It's not. Like, it's just, I mean, obviously we're not going to talk body functions. No one talks about that when you're behaving yourself or having a social conversation, but it shouldn't be a moment where you have to create an environment to sit down and have a discussion and unpack it. Right.
Yeah.
Hi, Marie. I miss you. I need to talk to you as soon as we're done. I love you. Welcome. I can't wait till you're on here with me, my love. So yeah. So my goals all have to do with women's mental health and confidence as well. I knew you would, Marie. Look at that. She said I won. I told her she was going to win her court case. There you go. Book your reading with Karma at karmaondeck.com. Boom. Ask Marie how it went, because I told her she was stressing about this court case, and I told her this was a one-hit wonder, that they didn't have the right person, but once she got in front of the judge, it would be great. I can't wait to hear from you. That's why I said hit me up afterward. I was waiting for you all day.
What's up, Ben?
So anyway, that's what we're going to do, is we're going to talk about sex. So when we talked about sex on the last segment, people were talking about the activity of sex, which is okay. I don't mind doing that. However, what kinds of conversations are you having with your new partners? I'm talking about in a new relationship when you meet. Are you talking about sex? Are you saying like, hey, I'm waiting, so I just want to get to know you and hang out? Or are you saying like, I don't mind? Or is it not said? Right? What roadblocks are you coming up on? Guys, are you willing to talk about any of this issue that Tico brought up a few moments ago?
Do you not have to talk about sex at all? Is it more of a sociosexual, outlook on things where you just know it's expected, which is very consistent in time now, where it's the hookup culture that a lot of people go in with the anticipation of not having to talk about sex because they know it's just going to happen.
I just went to the crossroads with that conversation for a second. All right, you hit the hookup culture. No, we're gonna go there.
Yep.
Okay, so the hookup culture. So I have a pet peeve. If you and I are hanging out and it's fine, and you work till late at night and you call me. So for example, I was a paramedic for 20 years. One of my really good friends, Shola, he's over at Sunrise. I work nights. He knows I'm up producing and I'm up late. And if I get a text from him and we're chatting back and forth, hey, I'm gonna go grab a drink. Are you gonna meet me for a burger? I haven't seen you in a week. I'm gonna be like, yeah, because we keep in contact and things are popping up, right? But I have
Stick around, Julia.
Hi, Julia. I have had people pop up and be like, what are you doing at like 11 o'clock? I'm livid with that shit. How dare you, right? But the hookup culture is a big deal now. But here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you right now, dudes are behaving as if they're dating and still behaving with the hookup mentality. So that's a psychological issue. And, you know, and I'm saying it's like they will do anything to get to that little nugget. So what's that all about? Psychologist? Psycho?
So really that is what I'm starting to notice is a shift in attachment styles. I actually mentioned this on my YouTube feed. I believe it was a day or two ago.
What's your YouTube?
Lucid Dreams for All.
Oh, I want a lucid dream. Can I have a lucid dream? Okay, so finish that sentence.
So it's the attachment style. So you do have a traditional secure attachment style where you're confident in a relationship with your partner. You know, there's not going to be any monogamy. You're actually just pretty chill. There's no anxiety. You have the anxiously attachment style, which is kind of where the shift I see is happening.
Did you make these terms up or can I research them?
No, you can actually research these terms.
Okay.
So
I was just keeping up with the combo here. So this is stuff we're talking about that's researchable.
Yes, this is definitely researchable. So what I'm seeing is a lot of the anxiously attachment start to come out where there is a lot of forward attachment where a lot of these guys are starting to catch feelings for a
What is wrong with catching feelings? You say catch feelings. Can't you have feelings?
I'm saying it in reference to what you said, how it's weird that, you know, you have the hookup culture where, you know.
I think the best fucking way to say that is butthurt, not catch feelings. They get butthurt. So you're going to give us this hookup mentality and pop over at 11 o'clock at night, but then your butt hurt when you don't have the attention that you want, or you don't have the response that you want, or you don't get a yes, not you, but when they approach with these different things and then they get butt hurt. And now we have feelings when they set it up as a culture for like casual. Exactly. So yeah, catch feelings, butt hurt, same thing. I'm just going to say.
Really, it's
agree, not agree. Talk to me, guys, because you're like fucking, unless we're that exciting that nobody's commenting. I mean, I know I'm cute, but so.
But yeah, the hookup culture is where you know the sexual intercourse is getting ready to happen. However, you know there's also no attachments to it as well. So that lack of attachment is kind of almost being like a catch-22 where you want the attachment, where you want to snuggle afterwards, but you don't want to have to deal with the responsibilities that come.
You know what I call that? I call all of the assets and none of the work.
Yes.
You want the commodity and not the payment. So
yes. And you
know what I mean? If I can't call you and be like, hey, bro, I need some help. Or, hey, how are you? Like, they want just the asset with this culture. And that goes both ways, because I've had this conversation recently with that exact mentality of like, there's times I just don't want to deal with it. And that's okay. But that goes back to ethical non-monogamy, which is the idea of actually talking about like, hey, because if you take away all these terms, it's all about consent, guys. So when it comes to consent, I may not mind that you are dating other people. Or for those of us that are out there, that are in the lifestyle.
Polyamorous relationships.
And then there's polyamory. But these conversations are open enough that you can say, hey, my partner and I have this situation and we're open, but I'm okay to date. Somebody may say, I am not cool with that, but it's up to them for consent. So how would it make them feel if I was dating and come to find out there's another arrangement? I didn't get to consent to that. So that is what ethical non-monogamy, including polyamory, swingers, people that are dating. It's just not exactly doing just the monogamy thing, but it's actually talking about it.
Definitely.
So Ethical Slut is the PDF and book that comes from. It's a difficult and evocative title, and I like it because of that.
The Ethical Slut, yeah.
I'll find it and put it in here for you guys because it's pretty interesting and pretty basic. They also wrote More Than Two. More Than Two is a polyamory book that I picked up. And I learned, honestly, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, the love languages. If you ever have an opportunity to read More Than Two, that's too much of a, I don't know, program instead of an idea. Here's the program, right? But here's what's true. More Than Two, this book that I read, I learned more about myself and how I show up in relationships than any book I ever read in my life. So if you just erase all of the poly stuff out of it and just take what you can in, they're very simple. It was written a long time ago, but it works. I learned like jealousy, for example. That's another psychological one. I recognized a few years ago when I read this book that jealousy is you just not having your needs met.
Yeah. And a summation, that's really what it is.
Bottom line. And it was that simple. I was a little butthurt that it was that simple. Because then the blame goes to me. You're right?
Yeah.
So I can't say, you talk to her, asshole. You were looking at that girl. I saw you.
No, I was trying to get your attention prior to, and I couldn't get it.
Oh, what? Okay. Or I'm getting it for you. but that would be a different person's conversation with me. So anyways, yeah. So if you're looking at the girl, it was because you didn't, never mind. Just, that's a whole scenario. And we're talking about the subject matter. We're just joking around with that. So if you have any other questions, guys, nobody's asked any. Or you're just going to wander around and watch us talk. So
I've had tons of questions and comments and inputs leading into a lot of these questions. I actually didn't get my fan. Oh, wait, what's up, Jenna? And Dory, what's going on? So I had a lot of these questions. Didn't really kind of figure anything else out with it until people started giving their feedback. So
what was their feedback?
So when it comes to feedback, we're going to stick on the topic of the sex talk.
Okay.
I've had a little personal experience as a dad recently. So it's just one of those topics that they should
So you're talking about the sex talk with your children. Okay.
Yes, the sex talk. It's a relatively just laid back conversation in my household.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very open with it, not detailed. Obviously, You have to keep everything with appropriation to age, especially when it comes to that. You can't go ahead and tell your 12-year-old details of things a 12-year-old doesn't need to be knowing. But as far as the education behind protection, STDs, pregnancy, these are all some of the things that people still, it's a taboo subject.
I'm thinking it's a pretty different conversation that you would be having with your teenage boy than is had with the 12-year-old girl. Because my ex had a tendency to, his 12-year-old son was allowed to have a girlfriend. How's your girlfriend? What's up with your girlfriend? But his 16-year-old daughter had an 8 p.m. curfew. And she cheered. Psychology.
That's part of those,
those belief systems.
Yes.
It's just belief systems,
Some of those,
but we're not going to go all the way into that. But
it.
So it's just, I'm sure it was a very different conversation. It's okay. Did you tell him that his hands were going to grow hair and he'd go blind?
No, but
it's a thing, I heard.
But it will break and fall off.
He can't break his dick, Tico. Did you tell him he'd break his dick?
You can break
He's not going to break his dick in the bathroom by himself. Try not to make noise with grandpa around.
You can definitely break a penis.
Are you worried about him breaking his dick?
Or
did you just tell him he could break it?
He's worried about it.
You told him he was going to break it?
Of course you can break it.
Oh, can you guys, is he lying to me?
No, you can definitely break a penis. A penis can be broken. You can achieve an erection.
I've had 2 of those calls, so it's a totally different scenario. 911 calls.
Those are 911 calls, by the way. 2.
It's a true emergency. Richard Broberg, would you consider that an emergency if you broke your dick? Just saying. So anyways, he's a medic of mine, partner of mine. So anyways, I would say it is a very different conversation, but were you he's blind. So Richard went blind. Okay. So was it difficult for you to have that conversation? And were you consciously trying to break a paradigm or break a belief system? Were you aware of it at the time, or were you in a knee-jerk situation yourself?
Oh boy, the time with him, it was actually a very unique situation. Mm-hmm. So
well, we don't have to put him on blast, but I'm just saying, like, where were you at?
I was at a point where I was a little caught off guard, definitely, where I didn't see this coming as quick as it did happen, which also then begs to differ that I probably may not have been paying attention as well. But it was to the point where I needed to catch up. And that's why we focus on keeping a lot of our conversations pretty open and fluid, especially when it comes to things like sex. Because if I didn't stumble upon this is something that never would have showed its face for time.
So it was unexpected. Shola, I was just talking about you. So did he feel like he was in trouble?
No.
Okay.
And see, the reason why he doesn't feel like he's ever in trouble is because this is something we talk about. So it's not like you're getting lectured conversation. It's more of a, hey, we need to kind of expand our knowledge base in this certain particular area.
Right.
So definitely. Another question that came up, and this is one that I'm sure everyone can kind of put 2 cents in on, is with general just psychology, and it does relate to sex quite a bit. What effects does church and religious values have on our psychology today?
So I think that was the conversation that we got into. Well, I don't say we got into it, but I think that was the conversation that got a little heated. Was I think you posed the question, does religion have its effect on psychological sexual health or something like that?
Just on psychology in general.
Yeah, okay, it was just on general. I think the sex one and the psychology one were two different posts. And then we started popping back and forth between the two. But I would say yes, absolutely, religion affects psychology.
Definitely.
In general.
Do you feel like it affects the sexual psychology?
Absolutely.
In what aspect?
Okay, so there's chastity. Huh?
She's got it, though.
So it's chastity. First of all, it's abstinence, which there's nothing wrong with abstinence. I wholeheartedly believe in abstinence for whatever reason you choose. But abstinence is one of them, but fear-based. You're going to hell. You're fornicating, you heathen, right? Don't enjoy yourself ever. And of course, we've all been around the block a little bit. I don't know if you're Catholic, Muslim, Mormon, Baptist, any go for it, right?
Atheist.
So any one of them, anybody, your belief system can affect your psychological makeup when it comes to how you behave sexually. I know that I was taught to not even use the bathroom and make any noise, or I would be called names. I've specifically talked about my best friend's grandmother saying she could hear me in the bathroom and that only sluts could be heard outside of the bathroom. And to close my legs more. And I'm like, really? I mean, like must have been standing right by the door, and I was 12. So after that, I was really paranoid about just doing a normal body function of using the bathroom, about being judged for that. And I know it was all about like, I had a bra on before I even knew why, right? It was like, you're 12 now, wear this. And I'm like, why? What's wrong with these? You know? So there's a lot. And then of course we have the body shame thing with other functions that happen, but that's naturally weird. So I would say that religion, besides the chastity and duty sex, don't forget duty sex.
Duty sex.
Procreate, go forth and hi, Caitlin. So go thee out and procreate, and what is it called? Populate the earth? No, make the earth fruitful.
Plentiful.
Plentiful, my bad. I was hoping to erase that chapter from my life, but I wouldn't have my kids. So yeah, there's a lot of psychological baggage that comes from church.
A lot of psychological baggage.
Church and religion, but not spirituality. I think that there's been times, and I've even, my Baba Lao he's only got 2 weeks left of a 90-day sex fast.
That's impressive. It
is amazing. And he's a rapper, and he's very prominent and social, and he always has women around him, and he's a very sexual beast. But I deeply respect his path. You know, if this man is going to teach me, he'll talk about discipline, right? You know what I mean? So when I have someone like that says, you know, I just want no interaction for a while so I can focus on what is right for me. And I don't want to see what attachments are pulling me whether that's the physical or another individual, and talk about cutting and purifying your energy, about who's pulling on your strings and standing solid. That's like a huge thing, you know?
It kind of does. It's huge, basically from a general health standpoint. So first off, you're in essence resetting your body. So all your hormones, everything is getting reset. Your dopamine levels, your serotonin levels, your oxytocin levels, everything is getting reset, basically starting up here in your mind. So without that physical dependence on that release of chemicals, that your body no longer has to go ahead and take that into effect. So you're now starting to deal with actual changes in your psychology through that 90-day
your
fast.
Physiology as well.
Yes.
Because then you have control and master over your drive. So let's take that to the flip side. So my Baba Lao, he's on a 90-day fast. Coming up on the end of it. I wouldn't say he avoided me or anyone else, but I saw he behaved differently over that period. But what about the opposite thing? What if you go the other way, and let's say you're just really exploring like that? I mean, should you be more one or the other? I mean, I don't know. Psychologically, is it all about this personal makeup?
It definitely has a lot to do with the attitude and beliefs that people have. Some people were raised in much more free-spirited households where exploration of the body is not something that's frowned upon, where your curiosities should be met and explored. Then you have people that have beliefs of traditional marriage and waiting, and your body is your temple that needs to be, accessed by few. So it's a really interesting paradigm between the two, seeing that you can go from one extreme,
I think you
depending
can,
on how you're raised, to the exact other.
Well, I am the extreme. Well, no, I have both extremes. My family was pretty liberal, but they were basically Catholic. And then but my family was pretty wild. I don't even want to get into it. But then I went Mormon. I mean, I was looking for a template, okay, guys? But anyways, now I'm like the opposite. But here's what's true. So I was going to ask you a random question that popped in my head. So, hi, Matt. So this isn't for people to be more sexually adventurous, just more sexually fulfilled. Please help me understand, because we're not talking about be a sexual adventurer, right?
We're talking about it as far as...
So your program.
Oh.
So are we getting people to be more sexually adventurous? Tell me the focus. Like, what would make me look into it? So the performance of my man is all you're talking about? Performance? Like
it's performance and overall well-being. So I have a fitness section for those that don't know. I get in the weight room every once in a while. I watch what I eat. I try to stay in shape. Good general health.
I can see that.
There is a psychology section, which is really kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say a roadmap, but more of a trampoline where you can kind of bounce your ideas and your thoughts and take a very good introspective look at your life, kind of seeing where you're at.
So do you do an evaluation, or is this like a program?
No, either or.
I don't even know anything about it. I mean, I saw the intro concept and I saw like a little promo video, but we haven't really had a chance to sit down and talk about it. So we just decided to talk about it.
Yes, we did.
That's it. This was not planned at all.
Nope. Completely, just improv.
But we both had a lot going on and we were like, let's just do it. So
definitely. So it's going to help a lot with confidence. So we're going to learn a lot about ourselves sexually, internally as men, from a psychological level. Why we do what we do. Our natural instinct as male is to reproduce and survive. So as we go through our survival techniques and live our life, we make money. We change the way we look so that we can go ahead and attract better mates. Our objective is to go ahead and...
Wait a minute. What if you look like shit and then you get looking better? That means you're trying to attract a new mate?
Better
Is that
quality.
the psychology?
It's the underlying psychology behind it is the more appeasing, and psychologically it's aesthetics 90% of the time and up front. The healthier women with curvier shapes, wider hips show very good signs of fertility. So you have... I
get the curvy hips. I like that.
So you get better signs of fertility, and these are all sexual motivators. Or for men, I feel very Freudian, saying that it is the very basic mainstay concept of our drive. What drives men is sex, our ability to reproduce, to conquer, to go ahead and claim our seeds.
So not getting it affects you too?
Move on.
So not getting it.
Yes.
So sex period drives you.
That's a different subject. It's not necessarily sex that drives us. It's the millennium of programming that we've gone through to be able to reproduce. It wasn't always easy for men to go ahead and reproduce, so they had to go ahead and sprinkle the seeds.
Sprinkle the seeds. So,
millennium of programming.
So consciously looking at and integrating your sexuality with your mental health and physical health.
It is.
You're welcome. 33 minutes to just say that.
It is. So, it's integrating it, yes.
So integrating, so we're talking about integrating. I like that. I'm going to write it down.
Integrating.
It
really is a very important balance. Your physical frame, your shell, determines on how you perform. The confidence you have in your shell with your partner.
Do you guys really think about performing all that much? Do you think about how you perform with women? Because y'all suck.
You know what? that's probably a preference of the individual. For me, yes, I don't want to leave someone just hanging.
And spiritual. You don't want to leave someone hanging.
Yeah, I don't want to leave someone hanging. It's obviously a pleasurable activity, but it's better when everyone gets to enjoy it and it's not just a one-way street.
So performance is something, you really think performance is something that men talk about?
Men talk about performance.
Do they?
Two pump chump.
I said it. But I'm asking if men talk about performance. I'm talking about it now more than ever in my life. And I do have a women's group where we get to explore a lot of this stuff safely. So Matt's saying, I think about performing, and to me, it's more fun to make a woman, you know.
It is.
Come, say it. You guys, come on. I didn't say anything up there earlier, but so Richard said I have at least 4 kids. But so you think about performing, it's more fun to make a woman, to please a woman. So however, it doesn't work out that way. It's not that easy.
And it isn't that easy. And the reason why it's not that easy is because there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get to that point where you can develop that sexual chemistry with your partner.
So where do you think we go wrong?
The men or the women?
That's my question.
It depends on the person. Because you do have women that can be asexual and they want to have sex with one specific kind of man.
That's asexual?
Yeah.
No, asexual means no sex.
No. That's absence.
Asexual means you don't have sex.
So let's look it up. We're going to look it up. So asexual means that you are choosing not to have sex, although you can still be sexually turned on.
Asexual, without sexual feelings or associates. They may still experience attraction, but they don't realize in the sexual manner.
So they can still be attracted and they can still be sexually turned on by someone, but they're just not participating in the act itself.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. I'm making sure we're on the same page. And that's what happens when you ask questions. Fuck you guys. Because I thought demisexual means I could kind of fuck and I could kind of not. But then when I looked it up, demisexual means you have to have an intelligent connection.
Exactly.
In order to engage with someone. And I was like, oh, well, I'm that. No, I'm that. Right? So it takes a lot for me to be really open and comfortable. So I learned that these words are valuable. I know that as part of the LGBTQ community, there's this big movement to get rid of names because it doesn't really matter what you do in the bedroom for you to have the quality and measure of your character in front of you, right? However, labels help me understand where a person comes from and where they stand. So I'm like, okay, so for example, we were addressing my lifestyle swinger people earlier. So I'm a swinger. Good. Okay, so that tells me that you're open. Like these are just some things that I've come up with and I may be wrong and I don't care, but I'm talking about it so we can figure out if I'm right or wrong. And those that are swingers can talk to me and say, no, this is how we are. This is not how we are. But the swingers that I know, they're very open, they're very understanding, they're very adventurous, and they are ethical non-monogamy. They share and talk about their sexual exploits with their partner, and they usually do it with them. Polyamory is more like multiple relationships, right?
Yes.
So
well,
labels help me understand where someone is coming from. I'm not trying to label them as in, oh, there's a gay guy, right? Or that girl's bi, the greedy ones. I've heard that my whole life, right? I'm not greedy. I don't choose sex. I choose a person or my, you know what I mean? My preference for the time or the person I fall in love with. But the stigma is, and there's stigmas out there too. Like my favorite one is bisexual men. They're gay. That's it, period. Like the stigma is that they're just gay. But for me, a label helps me understand, at least in general, where someone's coming from, because there's so much fluidity nowadays about people actually talking about it.
There is. There's a lot. And from the male and female perspective, psychologically, both men and female are very, very, very different sexually, psychologically. Women are extremely more sexually elastic than men. They don't really have necessarily a label, a direct label. For women, it really kind of just depends on the sexual need that needs to be, obtained. You can be straight one moment and then be turned on by another woman and still consider yourself straight. It's just that sexual elasticity that women have that make it different from men.
I would not call it that. I would call it sensuality of women, because they're more fluid in that way, a lot of ways. But I did want to ask Marie, she says, when are you discussing Tantric sex magic. So tantric sex, I want to touch on that. And while I'm touching on that, Marie, I would like you to send me a go ahead if I can talk about at all anything that we're bringing up to the table, because that's my next announcement for those of you that are paying attention. Marie will let me know. But anyways, so tantric sex, are you willing to go there for a moment?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I recently have learned a little bit about this. I got a taste of an understanding. So the difference between regular sex and tantric sex. So from my understanding of tantric sex, it comes in all about breathing patterns, positioning, more of a meditation momentum in order to get yourself in a groove and let yourself go. But then there goes another step and level to that, which is an energy exchange, which is ridiculously like beyond the physical. It's kind of cool. But then beyond that, there's setting intentions with orgasm, including ritual, which is sex magic. Pretty much you're doing candle works, you light it and you think about things. It's like having your orgasm and there goes your dream and wish and magic. So, but in a nutshell, it has a lot more to do with than that. But Marie, let me know what we can talk about and I will give a little plug about what we're going to do. So we're going to have a show coming.
So along with the breathing, I actually go over the details of male breathing and how important it is for your performance to increase the excitement of your orgasm to help better control your orgasm.
I want a demo.
As a male, our breathing is a primary controller.
Okay, so do you hold your breath?
No, you don't hold your breath. And I actually have gone over some
details
and breathing
rapid breaths, so deep breaths.
It's all in that guide.
Come on, give a girl a pearl. Baby, breathe. Baby, breathe. Please,
not really maybe necessarily breathing.
Okay,
it's
I'm just kidding.
More of the internal release from the chest when we're talking about.
So you're talking about diaphragmatic breathing. So making sure you're getting nice and deep, all your oxygenation to your cells,
exactly.
Nice and even.
Relax.
So you're talking about.
We are talking
about control.
A lot of control.
So
talking about control.
Vampires, incubus, and succubus is all for entertainment tomorrow, not for today. So for those of you that are paying attention, go ahead.
But anyway, I was looking at Matt there. So Matt said that you get kicked out of women's reactions when doing that because it's just your personality.
He said he gets a kick out of it? I get a kick out of women's reactions? Oh, yeah.
But it is a label that you're putting on yourself. You are, in essence, measuring yourself up to the past, present, and future to psychologically base how you are as a sexual partner. So it's that survival instinct, not the survival, but the reproduction instinct. We're knowing that even though for just the sake of strictly pleasure, it still psychologically binds with the mind of reproduction. So it actually is like a super normal thing to go ahead and judge yourself. And guys do talk about it.
I have a couple random questions when you're done. Guys do talk about what? I want to know if guys talk about girls. Do you guys talk about girls?
Yes, guys definitely.
I want to hear a random story, remove a name, and something that was from a long time ago that you would have said about a girl.
That she has an inability to...
XYZ. Whatever you want. Did you get uncomfortable there for a minute?
She has the inability to connect emotionally.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. There's definitely times...
So is that big for you?
Hyposexuality?
No. Connecting emotionally.
Connecting is definitely huge for me. So connecting is almost just as important as the act itself. Without that decent, strong connection, you can't really obtain those tantric moments. It's that energy exchange that you mentioned. Along with the physiological aspects of it, you have to have the psychological connection there, and that's important.
Do you believe in imprinting?
Yes, I do believe in imprinting.
So in the spiritual world, we kind of call that soul contracts, something like that. So it takes more of a conscious effort to remove things like that. So for those of you, hi, Melanie. So for those of you that look at things on a spiritual cant, which is what most of you coming on my platform are seeing, and there most definitely is there most definitely is a spiritual connection with individuals. I know that I personally, as a practitioner, have to be very selective about who I bring into my energy as well as my physical. Okay, so I've noticed that after I've had an experience with someone, even if it's just a date and a kiss, that there is a connection there. And so there is a huge, I want to talk about this one. Can I talk about this one? Go ahead. Okay, so there is this huge meme or article that's going around. I think you and I talked about it actually, where it's saying that a woman retains DNA from every sexual partner that they've slept with over time. But the actual article had come about because they had found male DNA, blah, 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 on the brainstem of women who had had children that were male. That's where this article came from. Snopes that shit, guys, okay? But then it's like, it assumes that, you know, if you nut in someone's mouth, then it's going to go in their eyes and ears and you're going to get it in their brain. And it's this whole ladies watch who you bring into your energy. You can't get rid of them. They're in there forever. So there's a half of me that's like, yeah, I am the spiritual part of that. And I feel those connections. And I do believe that it goes deeper than just the DNA, right?
Significantly deeper.
However, there's a part of me that's livid that we aren't capable enough of cleansing our bodies and our spirituality and demonizing it through that exact same process that we were talking about, the millennia of deprogramming we're doing, right? So I'm like, okay, so can I look at this clinically enough? As a medic, I like to look at things clinically. So I even do my charts like that, or my charts. See, I went clinical. So even as I do my readings, I will look at for what I see and also what I don't see. So there's a little bit of both, but I do believe in imprinting. I believe that some of the most successful couples out there, Maria and her husband, Maria Long, her and her husband have been together since they were like 17 years old. So I know a lot of couples that have been together since their teens and they're still amazing, right? So yeah, Maria and I got some secrets for you. I let her put a little hint in there. Upcoming, we're going to be talking about tantric sex, sex magic, do's and don'ts, mantak chia. I think we might come out with a little bitchcraft soon, huh, baby? All right, I'll see you later. So,
next question.
Yeah, so imprinting. So, yeah, I think that's what worked in the past too, was that imprinting and that ability to feel connected and bonded with one another. And that's why I kind of feel like paper doesn't even mean anything. Like there's that, you know? It's amazing.
You're right. I mean, there's no other way really to put it with the imprinting. Yeah. Even down to
it's visceral
anatomical level.
Oh, yeah.
It's there. And that's kind of probably more of the gist that particular article was trying to throw out there.
Yeah, it was rewritten about a dozen times. The original article is difficult in the deep web to get, but I would even hazard to guess that once you get to that imprint phase, or when you get with someone and you really connect and that person is out of whack, they walk into the room. I personally, well, even with those of you that have watched me do my readings, when I do my readings, I can literally feel when someone walks in the room, their throat chakra's blocked, their heart chakra's blocked, their root has not been operating properly. I'm like, have you not been having sex for like 2 weeks or whatever because you're frustrated in doing this loop? And so I'm able to feel. So when you get to a certain level where you're able to open yourself to another individual, that energy exchange happens before you even get to a kiss, a physical, anything. I can feel it from across the room.
You can.
I
definitely.
Can. Yeah.
And some of the things that I discuss on that are ways to initiate that feeling. Eye contact. A lot of men have trouble with eye contact, and that comes back to the confidence thing. Punctuality. How you present yourself to a woman actually says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That very first impression.
Actually, my girlfriend Alicia Fry and I wanted to create a web or an app for men and coaching them on how to create their profile or to review their profile before they post it so they don't look like a dumbass. Because we look at these profiles and go, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this picture's this many years old, or you took a picture of a picture, or you took a picture of the screen with an old picture, or is that your picture? And what they say about themselves, hi. And we just really wanted to be like, hey, can we help you? Because you're a really nice guy, but you are fucking up. You know, and there's a lot of guys that I would meet in person and I would see their profiles. I'm like, bro, no. So I think that it's needed. Obviously, needed. Alicia and I talked about this 2 years ago. Let me get her to see if she's here.
It is definitely needed. So along with that, how to approach a woman, a lot of the nonverbal cues, that women deliver, men don't get.
What do you mean?
They don't get a lot of the majority of the verbal cues. Eye contact, pupil dilation. You start noticing when your pupils.
Oh, you got to be close enough for that. You got to be close enough for pupil dilation. You got to be aware enough of that. Most guys aren't that aware. I encourage you. I encourage you. Please.
To let them know about
yes.
That. Well, here's the thing. Even from across the room, when your pupils dilate, naturally your eye has to produce more lubrication. So if you're not blinking excessively while looking at me, and those rosy cheeks,
you just said
the
lubrication.
flush in the skin.
I didn't flush. I flushed because you said lubrication while I was drinking my water.
Your eyes have to be properly lubricated.
Everything has to be properly lubricated.
Yes, it does.
Well, if you're doing it right, it doesn't.
That's a different story.
No, it is not a different story. It's
well,
the same
it's the
story.
Same story.
If you use an adjunct, then you're working too hard at the wrong thing. I'm sorry, Tico.
Correct.
If you are having to use an adjunct, your coconut oil, your fucking KY, or spit, you are fucking up. So you need to go back to that whole mindset. You're focusing on the wrong thing. The act of, not the presentation of yourself. And like I just said about reading that book, like the hardest thing that, I know, I swear a lot, I heard that in your head. So in the book that I read, More Than Two, I learned about jealousy, which is all about me not getting my needs met. And like I said earlier, the thing that was most difficult for me was I had no one else to put that on. So you're giving this gift to men to be like, here's how you take yourself on to get all of this to go right.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean? So this is a tool.
It's a massive tool, 66 pages. So there's more than enough detail into it, and it really does kind of help you not put your foot in your mouth.
What if they're not a writer? A lot of guys just want like video or.
I have video on it. There are video graphics, so you are going.
So you put porn in it?
Yes. How did you know?
Oh my God, I know you. So. No, really. So there is this like video tutorial, or is it coaching? Like I still know very little.
Some of it's reading. There's a lot of self-help, a lot of breathing techniques, masturbation techniques.
That helps with sex?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, it does.
I'm taking notes.
There are a lot of therapeutic methods into, in essence, gearing the mind ready for, if needed, a longer orgasm, sometimes a shorter orgasm. Can you
wait a minute? Can you
Ejaculation.
train yourself to have a longer orgasm, or is that just laziness? I've always been curious. Ladies, is it laziness or is it self-control?
You can
or can you, I'm asking, can you train yourself to have a longer or last? I'm not saying longer orgasm. Can you train yourself to have a better orgasm?
So yes, you actually can. So we do
better.
So part of that better orgasm is with proper physical maintenance.
What's physical maintenance?
Physical maintenance is having good cardiovascular.
So physique.
Yes, physique.
Well, I will
agree.
Health. I will agree that when my knee was busted out, I wasn't all that excited about sex because my knee hurt.
Was it you weren't excited about sex, or the knee actually didn't make you want to have sex?
I was aware of it, so it took me out of the game for a moment. Like, I'm like, okay, how am I putting my foot or my leg, or should I bend it, or can I kneel, or can I walk? That was on my mind before I even kissed anybody, let alone do anything else. But what I'm saying is, so physical maintenance is not just, it's cardiovascular as well as strength. So when you're overweight and sickly, flexibility.
Yes, we do go over flexibility. We go over strength and endurance.
Okay.
Those are three primary stables, at least for the physical aspect of good sexual performance.
I am not done with those questions, but let's finish that. I wrote them down. Since you guys are out here slacking, I'm going to ask them. And I know that's why you love me. So, question that you said. So, breathing techniques.
Yes.
And you said masturbation what? Did you say technique? Oh, therapy. Is this something you help with?
It's masturbation therapy. It's sex therapy.
Okay, so all joking aside, so masturbation therapy, can you describe that a little bit?
Okay, so
like just a little bit.
Let's go with this example. So for men that have erectile dysfunction, they have trouble, let's say, not obtaining an erection, but sustaining one. A lot of that could be due to physiological factors, medicine, health, yada, yada. Could be from stress factors and environmental. stress in life, family, a lot of these things factor into it. And then it just comes down to our own mental performance. So if you suffer from ED, you can obtain an erection, but you can no longer last it. You're going to do such things as focusing on obtaining an erection and not worrying about making it last. We're just going to focus on the fact of controlling it, the initial.
So getting one.
Yes.
So I had a question while you were talking. So is this physical more or mental? So you said, like, when we're talking vitamins and getting healthy, so do you think ED statistically, is that something that is more physical or more mental?
I think it's definitely more mental, not maybe in a retrospect point of view, but
well, if I'm overweight
external.
and not happy and all that, and I think that, so
my
just as
boss at work has
Okay.
chewed me out today. I had a flat tire last week. My kids need new soccer cleats. My wife wants to go ahead and redo a Florida room onto the back. It's just one thing after another, and it just gets to the point where, at least as far as stress levels, it kind of overtakes the part of the
So
brain
what
that
percentage
actually
physical
enjoys.
versus mental? Because I know that all of it compounds one another. Because when I'm overweight and I'm unhappy and my money's not right, and all of it compounds it, we're talking about a whole other issue. But
60% of it's mental.
So
when it comes
60% is
to
mental.
erectile dysfunction.
So coaching helps.
Yeah, coaching definitely helps, and that's something that I do help with is coaching. Maybe not necessarily going to sit there while you masturbate. Let's get that straight.
You're straight.
However, at least as far as the mindset in achieving, obtaining, keeping, using your erection, just you need help. There's
Okay.
what's the word I'm looking for? Go ahead.
So okay, so I'm seriously interested now. I wasn't before. I mean, I love you, but I wanted to like hear it.
Yes.
So, and this is the first time that I'm unpacking all of this, guys. Like he mentioned a small concept. We talked back and forth about advertising, about collaborating a little bit here and there. That's why we decided to do one sit down together. So a future reference, we're going to pop on here and do some other fun and exciting things later. But we wanted you guys to play with this for a little bit and just hear a little bit about what he is doing. Hi, Christy. I see you. So we're saying 60% is mental. Coaching is important, and I think that's important for women too. Honestly, I would like to get on board with this myself for women, but that's all a mindset for women. It's all confidence coaching for women. So, but you were talking about physical, so cardiovascular. So if I were coming along, it would be the first thing you do is what? Do an evaluation? Or is this something I order online? Like, give me a little more.
First off, I do have a website, luciddreamsforall.com. When you go there, you can actually go ahead and book a private one-on-one session where I actually do go ahead and do one-on-one coaching. We actually schedule time. Everything's live via some sort of video chat, whatever's convenient. And we actually do go over everything from your mental state now, depending on what, some of the things we're looking to be coached on. I have people come to me for physical help as far as physical fitness, mental help, saying that every time my girlfriend starts to go down on me, I lose my erection, which is not a sexual dysfunction. However, it does stem from a mental problem.
So that breakdown is in mental. So you get like a little evaluation so you know what direction they're taking it. Because some people have their physique down and they don't have the sexuality or the confidence down. Exactly. Because I know there's a lot of guys that come into the gym that have lost weight and they have shit confidence and they still are socially awkward and they still behave like the fat kid.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of that, guys, because like health culture is really up there. And it was actually after that comment when we talked about gym stuff where I was like, we're going to have a bunch of dumb, stupid motherfuckers. Was that George Carlin where he said a bunch of dumbasses? And I was like, we all know at least one, but it's true. There's a big culture about working on the body, but we're not talking about the mental, sexual, and spiritual health. I'm here to talk about the spiritual part. And I have a lot of questions about this stuff. So you were talking about flexibility. So you talk about flexibility too. So you're integrating all of these things together. And so do you have them do yoga or stretches? Or
I actually have probably a handful of workouts that I do go ahead and supply. These are probably my mainstays for sexual performance.
Okay.
A lot of circulation revolving the genital area. Obviously, that's something that's important, is making sure we maintain that circulation. We want good blood flow. We incorporate proper breathing. And then we work on certain muscles we need. Our glutes, our hips. We need flexibility for a good thrust.
Are you guys enjoying this? Because everybody's quiet. You must be enthralled or bored or gone.
You need good flexibility for a nice thrust.
Okay, we're thrusting. Okay.
And
so
it all ties together, and it's really is needed. Everything, even including to your diet, is mentioned.
I like it.
Pineapple juice.
Oh, pineapple. Okay.
It actually is.
So it is a thing. So foods for enhancement, not just performance.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a lifestyle change.
It's a complete total lifestyle, mind-blowing experience.
Okay. So since you guys don't have any questions and you're dead out there, I love you anyway. I wrote this with my left hand, so I don't know what it says. Positions? Do you go over positions
yes,
too? Is this okay? So I'm not talking about the ways we sleep together, the ways we have sex. I'm talking about this performance gets you XYZ, or this pleases her, or this gives you confidence. Like, do you break it down like that?
Actually, yes. So I even have a little part in there where we go over the anatomy. That's part of the education aspect of it, where we go over the G-spot that has yet to be officially found, but there are.
So you haven't found it. It's been found over here. I don't know about you. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Anatomically, it's not been found yet. They have an idea of where it's at.
So they can point at it.
So
the experts can't even find it, folks. So don't feel so bad. The experts can't even find it.
However, I do go over a new kind of thought process out there known as the cul-de-sac. So the cul-de-sac is a region in the vagina that's at the base of the vaginal fornix. So when you go ahead and kind of get into the program as well, you're going to notice some of the anatomical pleasure structures that women have. And
pleasure structures.
Pleasure. It's an actual structure.
Got it. How many guys don't know this stuff?
To
your homies. Just your homies. I'm not talking about science.
Homies?
Your homies.
Nobody.
How many homies know these details? This cul-de-sac, the G-spot.
The G-spot is probably very well known. As far as the G-spot, it's always going to be there. It's been talked about. It's faded. However, the cul-de-sac is something. It's
faded, like I just said. Okay, finish. I'm fucking.
Cul-de-sac is new.
To who? New in science, new to being talked about?
I would say new in socioculture. So society is now getting to the point where they're exploring certain options and positions. And there are certain ways of accessing the cul-de-sac that are significantly easier than others. And it's good. It's something that everyone should check out. It's the feeling that she gets where her legs begin to tremble a little bit. That shaky feeling of, that's what it is.
Oh, so there's a trade secret in the lucid dream. Okay, got it. I'm going to get the deets.
Yes.
Okay. So anyways, we talked about, you know what we didn't eat? We went all the way around. So you guys can pop in here anytime, but I think you just really like this conversation. You don't have anything to say. Hi, beautiful. Hi, Brooke. There we go. Thanks, Renee. I'm sorry, Esther, Renee Powers. I saw Renee when I'm meeting that. So we talked about hookup culture. We talked about confidence, flexibility, imprinting, masturbation therapy, breathing therapy, tantric sex. How many of you guys have experienced tantric sex out there? How many of you guys complain about the hookup culture? What is your biggest complaint about sex nowadays? But I want to say all these little things that we talked about. We talked about Tico's program called Lucid Dreams for All.
Yeah, just Lucid Dreams.
So Lucid Dreams for all. But however, he focuses on, if I'm going to paraphrase this because I want to see if I was learning because they're learning. So it's a program that involves physical, mental, spiritual, and coaching that focuses on the male psyche for better performance as a man. However, one of the results is excellent sexual results.
Excellent sexual
Okay.
results.
So, and performance.
performance.
So we're increasing performance and sexual power. And as a well-rounded individual, I always say that, you know, I personally, as an NLP practitioner, can tell when someone isn't well sexed. Like I put it, you know, they hunch a little bit, they cover their body. I mean, sexual health is ridiculously important to our psyche as a whole. And I don't think, hi, Brad, I don't think that we discuss that as part of being part of our psyche. We just, we're always putting it down somewhere where you can't discuss it, you know? So one thing that we didn't talk about was STD health. Is that discussed at all?
Yes.
You're having your people get tested?
Yes.
Okay.
We talk about STDs a lot. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you got to check the turf before you go out on the field. That's a phrase.
We're not even going to get into all that.
Yeah. That's a phrase that a lot of guys
so that's
hear.
The stick test?
However, they listen to you.
It is. I already know. You can. Why is that not allowed to say that?
We'll talk about that
on another show.
Yeah, another one.
Oh, so we're going to go on to Patreon?
I'm definitely coming back on this one.
That's going to be the After Hours Midnight Show.
Yeah, that's the BET Uncut show. So, yeah, we definitely go over sexual education. That's important as well. A lot of these ideas and concepts of being a stronger, more powerful man involve the responsibility of knowing your sexual status. So the worst thing in the world you can do is knowingly give someone an STD. Very irresponsible and illegal.
So do you have these discussions with your partners?
Yes.
So how does it start? Do you just jump in and go, when were you tested? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Does it make people uncomfortable?
Only if you give them bad news.
So you have to give people bad news? Wow.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Only if you have to give bad news.
So
mine haven't been uncomfortable talks. It's really...
No, I'm just saying, do people get uncomfortable when you ask them about that? You know, do they act like you're asking them something private? At times, I feel like it's just people act that way.
Yeah, it can be interpreted that way, definitely. Mm-hmm. However, it's one of those things where it's a conversation that needs to happen. It's an adult conversation and it's important. So it's really not taken in any other context other than what it is. It's a sign of caring. And that's kind of how it needs to be interpreted, that someone's coming to you looking to give that kind of information.
I agree. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about? I got real quiet in here.
Super quiet.
See how? But however, let's just make this a reflection of how uncomfortable it is to talk about. That they would rather let us talk about it and touch on all these little subjects that they don't want to ask, but they're all watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see. They're all watching.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about?
No, definitely come pay a visit. LucidDreamsForAll.com. You guys can go ahead, check it out. We will go ahead and make sure that we add it all into absolutely everything.
Are you going to type it?
Oh, yeah.
Or you got it? 2 Ds? Yep. 4 or the number?
4. All. ALL. Lucid Dreams for All. Lucid Dream for All, excuse me.
Too much for typing. She said, can I come up on camera? For all?
Yep. Hey.
That's my coach, my old roommate and coaching. Oh, fucking Brad. I can't even stutter. All right. So too much for typing. If I'd ask if I were on camera, she said.
Well, then get on camera.
Can I invite her?
Invite.
See here. Okay, Esther. Game on.
Here we go.
Let's see if she comes up here. I know it was glitchy before. Do 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 do. Are you having fun?
Let's
Watch yourself.
Oh, definitely don't want to do that.
So, hi Melissa. So, Are you guys enjoying this? Would you want us to come back and do this again? Or would you be more prepared if you knew what we were doing? Because we know we came in and cannonballed you guys, and we did that on purpose. So we decided we weren't going to preempt this with anyone. We wanted it natural, uncomfortable. We wanted you to be like, whoa. And actually, if you sat down for 5 minutes and watched this, I want you to acknowledge that you were uncomfortable and at what point. I was a little bit over the top on purpose. And I wanted you to feel that and think about it. Like, it's just this topic. We're not talking about an experience that we had. We're not talking about whether it was good, bad, or ugly. We're just talking about it in general in a very comfortable environment. So for those of you that want us to come back, let us know. Give us some feedback, because we're hearing nothing from the peanut gallery out there. We've been on here 1 hour and 9 minutes. So for those of you, I mean, tantric sex, uncomfortable sex. How do you tell a guy no? I mean, how do you tell a guy that you were displeased? How would you want to hear it, Tico? If I was like not thrilled about the last 2 experiences we had, what would you say? How when do you want to hear it? Do you want to hear it the first time, like, bro, you messed that up? Or the second time where I'm like, hey, like, this is a habit? Or do you want, I mean, never, like, I don't know. I want to know that. That's what I want to know. How do you tell a guy that?
I mean, it's one of those things where no different than a guy would tell a woman. You don't want to necessarily throw it right in their face the moment of. It's going to be something afterwards where it's like, well, hey, yeah, maybe we should, kind of hang out or something sometime, and just, brush it off if it's one of those kind of situations. Okay. Other than that, it's got to be a real talk. You're like, hey, that was painful. Or that was extraordinarily uncomfortable. I didn't enjoy myself. Let's not do it again. Or maybe we should try something else. I go over that in my guide as well. Very good ways to kind of open up conversations. I enjoyed myself when you put your mouth here. I did not like it when you did this, and that. Some of the things that I
So, hey, it was all good until you nutted and left me hanging. And then the game was over. Okay, so let's get real. That's what we're talking about here. It wasn't this or that moment that I didn't like. It was the end result. So if I go and pace the house because you're knocked out snoring and I didn't get where I wanted to get with it, because I don't like saying I didn't get mine. It's just more like where you didn't want to get, because there definitely, for me, there are experiences that don't end in that way, but I'm thrilled. There's a lot of things that I love about sex that don't always have to be about the end result. But men are end result driven. However, that makes magic in the middle. It really does make magic in the middle.
It does.
A good, nice little slow roll for me is going to slow you right down. But then you're going to pick me up, throw me on the bed. So there's a little combo. We like it. Okay. But so I'm asking you, from the guys, what do you say, or girls, what do you say to a guy to let him know you weren't pleased? And guys, what do you want to hear, and do you want to hear it? Because recently I was having this conversation with a guest at my house, and my bestie, who's popped on here talking about preach, she said, well, he said, are you telling men? And she said, yes. And I'm like, well, they're not listening. In general, from what I'm hearing women tell me, because I'm not really disappointed. So
that is true.
I haven't had that conversation.
I do have that conversation in the guide where I basically say, hey, you have to, wake up and realize that someone's trying to tell you something. You can't really get
so you're not noticing that the next morning your girl's not making eye contact. So that's part of it, right? The coaching.
You'd be surprised when I talk to a few people that they have trouble making that eye contact in the morning, saying, hey, last night was kind of rough.
Okay, so was that guilt or was that disappointment?
It was,
because I think it could be good. So Sally said, how would you deliver it to a man without hurting his feelings? I'm not a man. You have to answer that.
So how you would deliver it is, I just want to know the truth. Hey, I enjoyed this, and this. However, I didn't get off. I feel like there's definitely ways you can do things such as this. I like it when I like being able to control your head and you go into detail.
So is that not making them feel more self-conscious about the next event?
As long as you go into detail, and that's the thing, is the line of communication needs to be there. As long as you're going into details on improving it. So it's not just, hey, this was all just garbage. It's more of a
garbage.
It was more of a, hey, I really liked it when you did this. However, this was painful, and I felt like he kind of got a little too rough. do you mind pulling back a little bit? Or maybe can we start off this way next time? As long as it's not coming off of as an attack, more of a way to solve a problem, I believe it should be received very well.
I don't know if I believe that.
Solve a problem.
So I don't know if I believe that. So if I just gently tell you, well, bro, that sucked, that's going to work?
No, you can't tell me that's going to suck. You say that's going to suck. Can you do this, and this next time? Or...
But I still feel like that's going to put the guy on the spot. You don't think that's going to make him run and
it's
not
not,
come back?
Because here's the thing.
How many of you guys got bad sex reviews and came back? I want to hear this stuff. Richard Broberg.
Yeah, of course you're going to come back. Why? Because it's all about the performance.
Oh, Esther says men love to solve problems.
Exactly. That's
so
all
it's
it
a
is.
problem solving.
It's
so if you want better sex, ladies, bitch more?
No, it's not
Kidding.
bitch. It's just tell them what you want.
Okay,
and you know what? And you read it earlier today. If you want something, open your mouth.
Yeah, you're right.
Guys are not going to take it personal. They're going to take it as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's going to be. It's like, oh, this is what I did wrong. I know I can satisfy you better and fertilize you.
Jesus Christ.
That subconscious motivation and impregnate you better, because subconsciously society has, tied the orgasm with reproduction. So naturally guys think, if I can make you orgasm, I can get you pregnant. That's kind of that years of programming.
So you're talking that visceral, what do you call that? The, what do you call it, man? Neanderthal man. If I can impregnate you, the seed throwing thing. So he said challenge. So Richard's saying challenge. Thank you for your feedback, sir, my audience of one. So Brittany says, I've never had any complaints and I never had to give any complaints. However, I had
sounds like maybe, Brittany, you guys should try stepping out the box and creating some complaints. See if you guys can take things to the next level.
So is there a next chapter to this if you already get to the confidence? Because there's always your next 10, right?
Yeah.
So you go to your number 10 relationship and then there's your next 10. It's leveling up, right?
Yeah.
So, if I want something a certain way, I would tell them, make them do so and so. Good job, Brittany.
See, it's really about communication.
Did that take you time to get there, or were you always like this, Brittany? Because what's true is not everybody's built that way, or they're not taught that they can talk like that, right?
See, and Rich brought up a very good point. An immature partner would be insulted, because it's really not about, getting yourself off. It's about getting it, just as Doherty said, or is it Doherty for Matt? Matt earlier said that it's important being able to exchange that physical reaction.
Okay.
And we go over that. Communication.
Communication is... So there's a little bit of communication coaching? Or that's in the program, like both. You're going to give me an article.
There's communication coaching.
So are you going to break it down for them after doing like an eval and say, hey, like you are communicating or not communicating or whatever?
I prefer to do things from more of a psychoanalytic perspective, where it's here's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your problem. You're having trouble communicating. And I would offer out some help, saying these are ways you can introduce the topic and subject. And then go ahead from there and help an individual kind of realize why it's happening.
So are you ever going to involve the partner?
That's on them.
Okay. So you don't know the partner. You just know the one player, the guy.
Yeah. And that's all that's needed.
So Brittany's saying so this is practice for her. So this takes practice, right? Yeah. So she's saying I'm a little shy at first, but a few years later, I just started doing so. Okay. Fair enough.
And that's, you need a guide. You need someone to go ahead and open your eyes and be like, hey, this is possible. And that's what this guide gets done. It lets you know what is possible. And as you see, Brittany, perfect example, doesn't just happen out of the blue. You kind of have to condition yourself for this.
I will say though that I was not the same person that I was at her age. It took me a long time to get there, and that's why I wanted to ask her if it took practice. So sex is practice, just like yoga is practice, just like athletes practice. So if it's something you want to be good at, you have to consciously approach it in that point. And so I think that's what's also valuable, right? Is you're consciously attacking, like any sport, like anything that you want to get better at. Like I do tarot and I get better by practicing, or even, working out, athlete, sports, etc. Are you inviting someone on board?
No, I'm actually just responding here real quick.
There you go. So I will say that you guys are doing great. So Brittany says, during the time she lost her virginity, was with him 3 years, bad relationship, and then got into it. I don't know how to rise to explain. Okay, well, do we have any questions on the back end here? All right, guys. Well, if you have any,
does anybody have any questions?
I'm looking. They didn't type. They were, I think, enthralled. Actually, I think we kicked them in the gut a little bit, and they weren't expecting it because we didn't, like I said, have an announcement. We just kind of came on and said, let's talk sex at 7:00 at night on a Tuesday. So that's right. 7:00 on a Tuesday. It's the perfect time. You don't need to be drunk. Doesn't need to be your Friday. You don't need to be at the club.
So this is what we can do. It sounds like we do need to come back and touch this topic again.
Well, I think they were shy, so we should practice with them talking more.
Yes, communication.
Yeah, we'll set this up.
So definitely, I would love to be able to answer any questions anyone has. Invite someone. Invite someone next time we start talking, and invite them.
When are we going to do this again? Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yeah, next Tuesday, same time. You don't have to be here because I'm moving.
Oh, I don't, because you are moving.
We're going to figure this out. We're going to go. So that was the reason for the one-on-one, is that we have an opportunity to practice with what we want to talk about. I really did want to talk about your program, though, because it's the first time I'm hearing about it, like in detail. We've been in passing for a few months now where we haven't really got to sit down and have a conversation.
This program helps men have multiple orgasms.
It was fun.
Listen, Linda, listen.
All right. If you want multiple orgasms and to please your girl, stamina coaching.
All right, right here. I can take the male refractory period and make it like this.
With masturbation therapy.
A lot of therapy.
And breathing techniques.
A lot of breathing techniques, good physical health.
How much does a hot chick have to do with your refractory period? Sorry, that just popped in my head. You guys good with that? Refractory period. That's between.
So you get the excitement stage. You have the initiation. So it's now in your head. You have the excitement stage where you build up. So all those thoughts, the anticipation then starts to build. When you max out, you reach orgasm, which is the climax. And then you have a refractory period, which men, this is kind of like that downtime, where you have to, eat a sandwich and stuff.
There is no sandwich eating. You ruined the whole. Is that where no, we're not having that conversation. There's no sandwiches around here. No sandwiches. If there's a refractory period where you're concerned that you have to come back and finish the deal, there's no goddamn sandwich. You can Uber Eats that shit.
That's a good point.
Sorry, no sandwich earned.
Can I get a sandwich? Go Uber
If you're deflated, you get no sandwich.
But yeah. Men have a refractory period. This is basically kind of where we recover, get ready for the second shot, where women can. So
Rich is saying it's a skill. So shortening that refractory period is a skill. So that's what he's going to teach you. All right. So better, longer, faster, baby. And confidence and all that stuff. So anyways, I'm Karma. And those of you that know me, what just happened? Oh my God, I freaked myself out. Okay, cool. Woo! I thought we just cleared the whole thing. I was going to be unhappy. Anyways, I'm Karma. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'm not sure if we're shutting down, but I did definitely want to talk to you and let you know. If you want to book your one-on-one with me, I will be going live and finishing videos tonight. I got sidetracked with some production details for a new project that's coming up. I will let my little partner in crime reveal all of that to you guys in time. But pay attention to my timeline. There will be clues dropped within the next week or two. But we're going to be talking coming up here. I don't know if I discussed this with you, but my new partner and I, we're going to be talking about all the crazy things. Now, you guys that know me know that I'm a myth buster, right? So, yeah. Shut up, Richard. So we're going to be talking about, I don't know, everything from ancient aliens affecting our ancient civilizations and belief systems. We're going to be talking about ghost hunting. We're going to talk about, I have a whole list of these guests that are going to be coming and exciting things. I'm not sure whether we got the approval and go ahead to call it Bitchcraft, but we're going to have a TV show called Bitchcraft. So you can ask us anything, or it's pretty much going to be current events. Yeah. And then it's going to be everything from Mercury retrograde, astrology, to tantric sex, ghost hunting, ancient aliens, and you guys know karma. So you know how I'm going to come at it. Like, you got to be kidding me, right? So I'm going to ask all these questions, and we're going to be playing with this quite a bit. So if you're paying attention, I'll be dropping some hints about